I was going to have a break from podcasting over the summer season. And then I had this idea about creating a whole little mini series, a summer mini series. And so I have been so inspired by this thought that I've just pre-recorded 8 very short, absolutely no bullshit, incredibly loving mini podcast episodes. I don't want you just to listen to them. I want you to listen to them and then practice it. So I really want to invite you to take this summer to listen to this bite-sized short episode and apply what I'm teaching in it. And then just get fascinated at what shift that creates in your life over this 8 weeks. I hope you enjoyed this episode and I will see you when I'm back in September. Okay, let's talk about how to make decisions. When I coach my clients on decision making, the biggest fear that comes up is I'll make the wrong decision. And then what they'll make it mean in the future should they not have the desired outcome that they wanted. Or they're going to beat themselves up. So when you come across a decision, what's fascinating is that you're actually currently worried about something that you're going to choose to do in the future. Well, if you've been listening to my summer mini series and you've learned about your primal brain and you've learned about speaking kindly to yourself and you've learned about how to say no, you could decide that you have your own back no matter what. And when you go into making a decision, you go in with a win or learn attitude. As in, I'm going to win and I'm going to get the desired result or the desired outcome, or I'm going to learn something that I am going to tweak and implement next time. So there's no failing. There is no getting it wrong. There is only ever win or there's learning. Now, I can't remember the guy that wrote about it. Is one of the strategic coaches. If his name comes to me, I'll put it in the show notes. But he talks about decisions being a door. So if you're walking through the door, so the door is the decision. If you're making that decision, you're walking through the door and you can come back through the door. So it's a two-way door. You can go through it and you can come back. You don't need to spend any time on that decision. You just need to try something. If, however, you're going to walk through that door and there's no turning back, you can't come back on that decision, that's when it requires a little bit more thought. So here's my tips for decision making. Set a timer because making a decision happens in a split second. We think it takes hours, days, months, but it doesn't. It happens in a split second. And what takes the time is you thinking, researching, weighing up pros and cons. The problem with that is the longer you do that, the more your primitive brain is going to take over, and your primitive brain is negative. So it's always going to create more negativity, which makes the decision harder. So giving yourself more time doesn't make the decision any easier. If anything, it makes it more complex. And you can only make a decision based on the information you know today. And if you're learning to be kind to yourself and you started to learn and decide, I'm not going to beat myself up anymore, you don't then have to be frightened of what you're going to do to yourself should you not get the desired outcome. So then there's nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear when you start to improve that relationship with yourself and you have your back in making decisions. So decisions are made in a split second. If you can come back on the decision, just try it. See what happens. You're going to win or you're going to learn. If you can't come back on that decision, give yourself a bit of time. Set a timer, decide, right, I'm going to research it for a week, but then by this date, that decision is going to be made one way or another. And then choosing, I am not going to beat myself up on the other side, should I not get the desired outcome. I hope this helps. And another thing, actually, before I pop off, you're making decisions every single day. So this thought, I'm not good at making decisions, or I can't make a decision, or I overthink when making decisions, is bullshit. Because you decide to get out of bed, you decide to brush your teeth, you decide what you're going to wear, you decide what you're going to eat, you decide what route you're going to drive to work, you decide what you're going to do, you decide what you're going to say. You are constantly making decisions multiple times a day. So I'm not very good at making decisions is a lie that you're telling yourself because you do it all the time. You just don't always beat yourself up for those decisions. And if you're deciding never to beat yourself up again, and I highly invite you to do that, it's only ever win or learn. Have an amazing week. If you want to make this a challenge every single day, make a decision consciously and deliberately and choose not to beat yourself up afterwards for it. Have a wonderful week. Bye bye.